Hi, I'm Lisa Savano. You're watching Rob Report TV. Today we're at the Quail Motorsports Gathering in Carmel, where Robert Ross, automotive editor, is speaking with McKeel Hagerty about the future of the collector car hobby.
Well, McKeel, it's good to see you at the Quail, and I want to thank you for hosting a very interesting event just now that put a bit of an urgent spin on a subject that's near and dear to all of us in the collector car hobby, namely, what is the future of the collector car hobby looking like?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, for being so interested in historic cars and great collector cars, I'm always keeping my eye out there into the future. We decided to make a pretty big step last year, and that is we affiliated with the international group FIVA, and we formed something called the Historic Vehicle Association, which is meant to be an umbrella organization that will help bring some of these topics to light and hopefully create some solutions to let this hobby go forward long into the future.
What specific challenges do you see posing themselves in the coming years?
Well, there's no doubt about it that there's a negative sentiment about internal combustion engines. I mean, this is way beyond just collector vehicles. This is everything, and this is why there's so much pressure for the modern manufacturers to create, alternative fuel drive systems, electric drive systems, plug-in electric cars. Our motto for the Historic Vehicle Association is yesterday's vehicles on tomorrow's roads. And even though, I'm in the insurance business, I really love these things and I want to see them operating on tomorrow's roads.
Putting a pretty fine point on it, do you see this growing public sentiment, ostensibly against cars, as having a negative effect on the values of these collector vehicles?
There's no doubt about it. Of all the challenges I think collector cars face, again, a shrinking infrastructure, different fuels, all of that kind of regulatory type driven sentiment, that the public sentiment against wanting to own these, maybe interest sort of dying off, or even, during the recession, in 2008 and 2009, the idea that, well, maybe it's not so cool to be driving around in something very, very valuable. Those ultimately pose the biggest threats, not only to being able to operate these cars, but even, their values remaining substantial.
Do you think guys like ourselves are going to be driving into our retirement with these old cars, or are they going to become as fossiliferous as the fuel that they actually consume?
I think there's a long, bright future for historic vehicles, but what it's going to be is we have to start thinking about it that way. We have to start talking about cars not as collector cars, vintage cars, but rather as historic vehicles. I think that's the future of it. Just like there's a National Registry of Historic Homes, or certain buildings are preserved as national treasures, that sort of things. Ultimately, we're going to need to start looking at vehicles like this and say, this is an important part of our history. It's an important part of industrial heritage and culture, and they need to be preserved. So, a little bit of careful work, and we can still be car guys 25 years from now.
What can collectors and the industry that is supported by those collectors do to really ensure the future of our hobby?
We think the Historic Vehicle Association will be a great means. It's a very egalitarian, open group. It's designed to allow members of clubs and businesses and individuals who are just interested in the long-term vision of let's keep yesterday's vehicles on tomorrow's roads. One way or another, it's just about keeping interested, getting out there and driving these things, getting out there and enjoying them, making them still part of our culture and our heritage rather than just something that needs to be locked up and put away and, cared for, babied too much. Cars like this need to be driven. I don't care whether it's a Bugatti or not.
Well, McKeel, thank you for giving us some more serious things to think about, but part of the responsibilities that go along with being custodians of all these great machines.
Thanks, Robert and McKeel. I found a car even I can collect.